So glad to see you. You coming here has kickstarted my year. Because I prayed for this space, and I said, God, we need to have a generation that wants to be precise and clear and intentional about their growth and plan their growth. And I don't want to do it alone. I want to be able to do it in a community of women that seeks the same, and women that are willing to give in the time and commit themselves and be able to be determined in order to grow. Okay? And part of what I am actually talking about is part of the word. When I told God, speak to me, I just don't want to be random. Everyone is speaking about this year, everyone is speaking about that year, and you know, it's going to be a powerful year. No one is saying bad things. Okay, and I was like, you know what, sagala kwetu mikiriza. I don't want to just say things for the sake of saying them, but I want us to be able to go to a certain place, to be able to take a shift with the word that we are going to talk about. And the word that I actually got was, get on your marks, get set, go. You know, it's so weird because when I asked, okay, so what would this mean? As in, the clarity of it was, we are in our green light season. We are in a season where God has said, go. We are in a season where we have a clean slate. We are in a season, the past season, it's possible that we were on our marks, we were in the holding, we were being built, we were being fortified, we went through frustrations. I'm not saying that this year is going to be without frustrations, because if you plan to grow, plan for frustration. If you plan to grow, plan for disappointment, because even if you don't plan for disappointment, it is going to find a way of sneaking up on you. And that means that sometimes disappointment comes so that we will grow, or frustration comes so that we will grow. But the moment you know that this is the season and I must seize the season, because seasons must be seized. It's not enough for us to know that we are in a season that has been green lighted, that permission has been given to us. The moment you cross the year and you have life and you have breath, that means that the expectations God has of you are actually big. That means the mandate you have on your life is actually big. That your personal growth is going to enable everything God has designed for you to do. So that means you must be very intentional with it. But just like I said, a season must be seized. That when someone, do you know that so many people have been at traffic lights? And so many times, I usually, when I just started driving back, I don't remember how many years, I used to be, you know what, I should be the one, I shouldn't be the first at the traffic. I don't know if some of you have gone through that, because then some junctions are very weird. You don't know which turn to take, and then you'll be like, I want someone else to come in front of me so that I can. And then after I mastered driving, I was like, you know what, I want to be there, because sometimes you will come in a lane and you're not at a privileged angle of seeing when your green light actually comes. So that means your green light can go on and people start honking at you behind. And when they're honking, you're getting mad. You're like, but why are you honking at me? Only those were seconds. But what they are reminding you, and when I was thinking about this message, what they are reminding you is, it's your turn. Like, it's your turn to go. But you realize that if it's your turn to go, you can actually miss your turn to go. So for me, when it comes to the green light season, that means that we have to be very careful to prioritize us. You have to be very careful, because so many things are going to come and they're going to want your time and your attention, and you're going to end up prioritizing them and not prioritizing yourself. When the move says go, that means you are the one that has had the instruction. Has someone ever said, it's your turn, and then you look around like, who are they saying? Are they telling so and so? Instead of you saying, you know what, I've been in the queue, so if they say it's my turn, I'm not going to look around. I might just, if you want to stop me, call me by my name. Let's see whether you know my name. But you're at immigration, you're at where, and then someone just says, it's your turn. You don't look around to say whose turn is it. You just go because you're tired. You want to go. So that happens also in our lives, okay? It's just a metaphor that happens in our lives, that when you look at people who will also drive by you and they're making noise, or they have their radios, you know, up, and then you're tempted to look their side instead of concentrating where you're going. That means that there are going to be so many distractions. There are going to be so many things that are going to call for our attention. There are going to be so many things that will want to hinder our determination or our persistence to actually go. But the moment we learn to prioritize us and seize the season and say, okay, this is the season of my green light. This is the season where permission has been given. I don't mind whether I don't know how to run, but if they tell me go, I might as well just crawl. I will just make a forward movement, okay? Just to show that, you know what, if permission has been given, let me not seek for an excuse around. Let me just go. And then it also taught me one thing, that, you know, when the green light comes, and in this case, let's say God is the giver of the green light. Do you know that God is not going to come into your car to come and drive for you? Or tell you drive? That means that in this year, there is going to be responsibility that is solely resting on you, and responsibility that is only for God. So that means if, for example, if you plant, you don't know whether you're going to harvest. You don't, because you will till the land, you will put the scarecrow, you will do everything humanly possible that you can do as a farmer. And then whatever you can't, that is not in your control, you leave to God. But we all know that there are people that have planted in seasons where they have not harvested. They have actually lost. And there are people that have planted in seasons where they have actually harvested. But there is a part that they didn't have control over. For example, the weather change. Who saw the rains that we had November and December? Did we think we would have rains like that? Did we? We didn't know. And it's extending into January. We expected that this month would actually be a very dry month. But we don't know what's going to happen. So that means there are certain things, external issues, or external things that are out of our control. But can we do what is in our control? If we are supposed to step on the gas, to press the gas, if we are supposed to drive, can we drive? Okay? If we are supposed to concentrate, can we concentrate? If we are supposed to be determined, can we be determined? If we are supposed to recollect our attention, can we recollect our attention from everywhere else it had gone, and we concentrate on this moment so we can be able to seize this moment? You cannot seize the moment without being present. You have to be present in order to seize the moment. And by present, not just with your body, but you have to be able to be in alignment, that even your thoughts, that even your mind, and by the way, you don't have to do 100%, but you literally have to be there in order to seize the moment. Okay? So I take those natural things just to interpret what it would mean for us when we say we are in our green light seasons. There are people whose seasons have passed by. There's people that have mismanaged seasons. And it doesn't mean that they don't have a chance, because our God is a God of a second chance, that he will turn around and flip around the season and it will come back. But some people have missed seasons because they were not attentive. They were not present. They were not in the moment when the season was actually happening. So this shows me the power of partnership, that there is one that green lights and there is one that actually drives off. There is one. So I want us to be able to find what is our part this year. What is our part? And I think according to the questions that we had at first, and we were talking about what exactly, how has our week gone, and we're saying, you know, I took time to plan, I took time to plan. That means you're only saying, God, I want to take care of my part. I want to be faithful and responsible for my part, so that when I come to you in prayer and I give everything to you, I know that mine is done. I am not just praying without doing anything, just looking on and just praying, God, I just pray that this year will be good. I just pray for financial breakthrough. But there is nothing, no business, no job. You're not applying. You're not doing anything. But you're expecting manna from heaven to drop from heaven. Okay, so that means with our part, especially in this season and in this community, we are going to deal with our part so that we do not leave any room Like, okay, what is my part? If my part is to show up, can I show up? If my part is to be patient, Corinthians, when you talk about, you know, the patience, when you talk about, as in, can I be able to have those fruits in me? Okay? Can I be able to bear those fruits in me? Patience is not an easy thing, but some things will come to us because of patience. Some things will come to us because we have chosen to be available. Some things will come to us because we have forgiven. Some things, so do you realize that it's not just the part of working, and making sure that we pursue our goals, but there are secondary things that actually also are responsible for the maturing or the manifestation of our goals. Okay? And that incident took me to, you remember, for those of you that are Bible readers, the woman with the issue of blood. The woman with the issue of blood, as in, Jesus had the power, right? And it's possible that Jesus would have remained with his power and nothing would have happened. No healing would have happened. But there was a part to take on her part, that she came and touched. That she came and broke all protocol and all the rules, because according to their culture, they were not supposed to come out. They were supposed to be somewhere hidden, somewhere in quarantined, somewhere away from family, away from anyone, you know, because you were deemed unclean. But here you are, you hear about Jesus, and I took time to read where was Jesus going, because he was on a mission, he was headed somewhere. They said Jairus had invited Jesus to go and heal his daughter. And so he was on a mission, time bound, that this child was badly off and needed healing. You know, Jesus, now I need a minute of your time. Can you look here? Someone else is taking, and you know, he was a bit of a person in power, and you know how people in power can be. In those times, I don't know what happened, but they would even send a donkey, they would even send bodyguards, as in they would take you, they would snatch you away. But this woman said that she believed in her heart and said, if I can only touch the hem of his garment. If I can only touch. That is the conversation she has with herself. But she says, if I can only touch the hem of his garment. That means that, number one, she had faith. Number two, she believed that if I can do my part, and my part is to get to where he is. So simanyi bukokola bumeka bwengenda kuba, simanyi bantu bameka bengenda kuita muskati na mumpale. I don't know how many people I'm going to have to push, but I have to get to where he is. So that means that there is effort on her part. There is investment on her part. I don't know how many people stepped on her feet or how many people chased her away. You've all been in crowded places, and what that looks like. That is why some people will be like, I don't want any crowded places. I will only go to VIP concerts. We love soft things and soft life. But sometimes getting to the life that we want, it's not soft. Sometimes we have to fight. Sometimes we have to be beaten. Sometimes we have to be denied access. But she said, if I can only touch the hem, I don't need to touch his hand. I don't need him. Do you realize Jesus didn't lay hands on her? She actually laid hands on as in, she just broke all protocol because of her faith. She believed things don't have to happen the normal way. Because so many of us believe things have to happen the normal way. You know, an uncle has to die and then I get inheritance, or someone has to give me this, or a husband has to give me this, or so and so. And women, we have the pity party of, you know, we are the weaker sex. But tell me, in this world and how you see it, are we still the weaker sex? And what do we call these animals that are about to get instinct? Endangered species? I think we are endangered species. You know, like the whole world is pouncing on what a woman is. Yes, some of them have a misrepresentation of who a woman is, but there are some of us have a good, valuable representation of what a woman is. But again, it doesn't matter in this world whether you have a good representation of who a woman is. The world is not going to hand you anything on a silver platter. So that means you have to have a good dose, a huge dose of self-belief and of faith to actually show up in such a place. But there are some people who are like, you know what? I must do everything it takes. There's a place I want to get to. I am not going to wait until I hear a big voice from God, until I hear a certain prophecy. No, I am going to press in because this is my year for more. This is my year for increase, for multiplication. And if that is going to happen, multiplication is not going to find me in bed, and it's not going to find me just waiting and looking cute and waiting for a certain man to rescue me, to sweep me over my feet, or waiting until my husband remembers about me, or my boyfriend remembers about me, or even my family remembers about me, or my boss remembers about me. There are some bosses who will never know that you even exist. They will only know that you exist when certain things go wrong. But when everything is right, they are minding their business. That means you have you. I have me. And just like the saying that usually goes around, that you and God are the majority. Okay? So, when we say that it's the time, you realize for this woman, it was the green light season. Okay? So when the green light came on, she didn't need to say, you know what, Kati, I am the one who is unclean. You know, people who stay on the fence and think a lot. And they're like, now, Kati, you know, I'm the one who doesn't have enough skills. Yeah, I think it was yesterday where I was talking about us overcoming fear in order to get to the things that we want to get to. And one of the fear that I mentioned 3 types of fear. I mentioned the fear of embarrassment. Some of us have fear of embarrassment. How are people going to look at me? What are they going to say? And we put that ahead of our calling, or before our own life, before our own happiness. We are putting other people's opinion before our own happiness. So where does that leave us? That means we want to make them happy, and we are so willing to deprive of ourselves of the happiness that we so much deserve and we are worthy of, but we just can't look at it that way. We're like, you know what? I have the fear of embarrassment. And some of us have the fear of ineffectiveness. Like, I don't know, Kale, have you ever tried to do a cake, and then you're like, but there's someone who does it better than me, or I'm going to put things the other way around, or the eggs come first, or the blue band comes next, or the flour comes last. There are times where we are not so sure, but you know that even in the periods where you are not so sure, for as long as you are doing something, you are better than someone who is sitting on the fence and saying, for me, I'm not as good as so-and-so. Because how did so-and-so get good? By doing, by practicing, by showing up every day until they mastered. So that means mastery determines or depends on how consistent and how persistent you are in doing something. So that means some of us are holding on to fears that we should never hold on to. That I'm not effective. Do what you can. And you know that when you're not effective, and you do something, and someone can come and correct you and say, but it's not like this. Have you ever corrected a child? You tell a child to wash, and maybe they hold the cloth this way. And you're like, mama, you hold the cloth like this. Yeah. And why? They were willing to try. They did not sit and say, I'm ineffective. Do you know some people have even failed to get into relationships because they think they're ineffective? I don't think I'm good enough. Good enough in what? Wanji? Good enough in what? in cooking. And isn't cooking learned? Is it a born trait? Are you born with? Even
loving.
In loving. Yeah. Can't we learn how to love? We can learn how to love. What else? Ineffective in bed?
You can learn. You can learn.
Is that a inborn trait? No, it's not an inborn trait. And who said that they're marrying a clincher? They're marrying. You get it? That is why we say marry your friend. That you can explore these things together. Because in your ineffectiveness, just like the Bible says that in our weakness, that his strength is, we are made strong. So that means we are never ineffective. But it's true, it's possible we don't know certain things. But for as long as we are willing to learn, that's the thing. And the other fear was the fear associated with imposter syndrome. Like, I know my struggles and I know my imperfections. I know I'm not qualified for this. How many of us have turned down jobs, have turned out, and you look because the ladies here, you look at a man and you're like, I'm automatically disqualified. This man is too handsome. I don't think There are women who have done that. And by the way, guy namwesibako nanga nenza ndaba muchi. You get it? As in ye asalawoda, with their mind, they sat with their pancreas and and their livers and determined and said, and they determined their level of beauty and they determined their level of everything. They do not qualify for this. How many of us have pre-decided what we qualify for and what we don't qualify for? A job comes and you're like, huh, I think this one, we all have those friends that are perfectionists and those friends that are good organizers. Do you have those friends? I have those friends, never niza. Like you can't be too organized in life, you know? Me, I know myself, I am not an organizer, I will pay for someone to organize me, but me, I will know my strength and my weakness. But you disqualify yourself instead of saying, okay, who has this strength? Can I go and hook onto them and say, you know what? Jangu, okolechi, obinjigirize. A person, a willing heart will always make a way forward. Me, I'm unclean, and you know, according to our tradition, and you know, I'm a woman. Do you know there are things we have turned down because we are women? There are things we have not gone for. How many of us here have land? Thank you. You broke you broke them. You know, some people think women don't have, they must not have. Recently, I was telling, end of year, I was telling my sisters, every woman on this table must have land. And so, like, they were laughing sheepishly about it. I was like, you have to have land. Land is not just for men. But there's things we disqualify ourselves from because of our gender, because of our softness, because of our level of education. Do you know that there are jobs that people put up, Nebalanga announced jobs, but not because they want a particular degree or particular PhD, but they put them up. Because I do HR support all the time, and they end up giving a job to someone who does not even have a degree or even a diploma. They have a certificate. But for you, you read and you're like, now these ones, they want one with a degree. They want experience. And you're like, you know what? I don't have experience. But what is experience? Even working in a kabanda is experience. Even whichever. So for you, you're thinking they want experience in that particular thing. You go and tell them, you know what? There are people that have given jobs because they are confident and they know what they want. And they don't have the experience in that particular thing, but they have told you the experience that they have. That means if they amass that experience, they might as well amass another experience. They are willing and open to learn. And then I will put them on probation, and they will surprise me. And I'm like, you know what? I have gotten myself a good person. Why? Because I was willing to take a chance on a good person. Okay? So I don't want us to stay behind. Remember, we say the season is for seizing. We have to seize the season. But we should not give ourselves reasons as to why this season is not ours. It belongs to, to some people. It does not belong. It does not belong to me. And that is the power of partnership between us and God. That he has what he has to do and we have what we must do. So let's not include any kind of excuses in our part. Let's take away all the excuses and say, if this thing has been done by a human being before, that means I can actually do it. If I can't do it 100%, can I try 30%? Can I try 40%? Can I keep pushing my limits? Because the moment you push, just like they say, that when a brain enlarges, that when you get information, when you get, like, it's like a rubber band, it will never go back, it will never snap back to its original space. That even if you use a rubber band to put around money, you realize that it will never go back to its original state of smallness. It will have expanded, it will have enlarged. So even as when we push our capacities, we enlarge. When we push our capacities, we enlarge. So can we keep pushing our capacities this year? Okay? We're not going to take on God's role, because some of us have also decided to take on God's role, right? Do you know where we end up? Depressed and worried. Because when you take on a role that is not yours, it's like a child who wants to be a mother. Have you seen those children that grow up very fast and they start getting worried? As in, be a child, remain a child, expect to have breakfast, lunch, and supper, and it's none of your business where it comes from.
How about if circumstances are forcing you to grow up?
That's what I'm saying, that circumstances so many times have forced us to take on roles that are not ours. For example, even the Bible talks about it, that what gets added onto you when you worry. Because it's circumstances that get us to worry. So a circumstance has pushed you so much into worrying. And now you have fear and of the uncertainty of the unknown next year. So now you have fear of between now and the whole of this year and December. How am I going to survive? How am I going to pay my rent? How am I going to... You get it? But you're not yet in March. You're not yet in April. You're not yet in other months. But you're already worried about all the months. Is anything going to be added onto you? Apart from high blood pressure? Apart from you isolating from your friends? Apart from you getting depressed? Apart from you losing it? Do you think the people in Butabika, something major happened to them, all of them? Some of them, it's not major things. They just started worrying, and worrying became a sickness, and they got depressed, and they started speaking alone. And they started putting their clothes up on their head, and they started undressing. Why? Because they carried things or roles that they were not supposed to carry. I know some of us I come from a long background of poverty. And I know when someone comes from terrible poverty, they become proper planners of money. I don't know whether this has happened to anyone, but it has happened to me. Because then you do not want to ever live without money. You want to know how you're going to live next month and how you're going to live the other month. You want to be sure that you're going to go through it. But you realize that sometimes it can place a lot of stress on you. And I told God this year, I'm living in a moment of surrender. I'm not saying I'm going to be silly and stupid not to plan. I will plan where I can, but I'm not going to carry all the next 5 years on my head of how I'm supposed to exist and how my family is supposed to, and my children. No. I am going to be a child in God's house. And I'm going to believe that my efforts are not enough to even get what I need, but my efforts plus God's love and grace, that is enough to accelerate me into what He wants me to get. Okay? So I hope that notion we understand so well, that when we say that we don't look at the external factors, take on God's things, we do ours, till the ground, plant, water, do everything. Let God do the raining, and let God do the germination of whatever it is that He has to do. Okay? So I need you to be able to embrace the season. To embrace the seasons. And when we have to seize the season, I want us to know that we have to upgrade certain things. Last year had a version of us, a different version of us, and we achieved certain things. And we are grateful for achieving those things. Aren't we grateful? It's enough to be grateful. But there is a version of us that achieved those things last year. And certain things that we did in order to achieve those things last year. But that means that this year, in order to seize the moment and to seize the season, there are certain upgrades that we must be able to make. And number one of those upgrades is the upgrade in information. When you talk about upgrade in information, so many of us, we are on social media. Do we see how much information is being pushed on social media? Do we see how much things are trending? Yes. And sometimes you don't know, don't have a clue whether they are right or not right, but they are trending. But for something to trend does not make it right. For something to be logical does not make it right. So that means we have to be very careful to double check every information that we get. Who is it coming from? And whom are they listening to? Because everyone that is saying something, they are listening to something. They are getting it from somewhere. Some people are preaching their own fears. Some people are preaching their own failures. People right now are seeking not to bless or to even impact people's lives, but to go viral. So they will say anything that makes them go viral. I think you have seen even the men of God that have stopped preaching the gospel, and they have resorted to saying things because they are going to kusasamaza. And because echintu echisasamaza, church going viral. But when you say Jesus is coming soon, who is going to listen to you? When you say the grace of God is sufficient, who is going to listen to you? As in, you have heard that so many times. How is it any different? But you do certain things I cannot even take through my mouth to say. When you say, someone says something and you're like what is going through your mind while you're saying it? Where did you get that from? What amount of time did you sit down and even take to think about what you spoke about? Did you even think about it, or you just said it? Did you plan it before that I'm going to be in front of a camera and I'm going to say a certain word and it's going to be watched by 1 million people because I want to sound relevant and I still want to stay in the news? And then some of those people are the ones that are impacting us. That is the information that we are taking as the gospel truth. But they are looking for their own gains. They are looking for likes, they are looking for following, and they are looking to trend and to stay relevant in news. Because apparently, I know from Midako Plaza Maulide, they have to be on radio, they have to be talked about. And when it goes down, they will come back with another kabadi. Because they have to stay in people's eyes. Because that is how they get their money. That is how some people earn money by being relevant. Not even relevant, because relevant I think is a big word, is a nice word. But by being seen. So that means they are going to have you ever seen people strategically positioning themselves? Hmm? Have you ever seen women kungabetega? You know, they are being strategic. They are like, let me sit here. You will have to see me by force. So you realize that we have so many avenues, and everyone is pumping information. We are in an information era. It's information plus technology. And whoever pumps up more information, apparently, even the algorithms of TikTok, of Instagram, they are rewarding people that are pumping out more information. So they will tell you, give us 10 reels in a day. That is why you will see that people used to create good content that was lovable and relatable with, and all of a sudden, because Baba Teka Kuninga, you have to produce more content, now they are producing irrelevant content. Why? Because that is what the algorithm wants, in order to advertise you and to put you in front of so many people. And advertising right now is winning. So I want us to double check every information that we get. Is it coming from the mouth of God? Is it coming from a trusted source? Okay? Or does it align? Because we have do you know that we have a sixth sense? We have a gut feeling that someone can say something, and even if it's your papa, even if it's someone that you really trust a lot, and some of us, even it can be your mother. You look at them and you're like, Wanzala, no, I am not taking it. Why? Because we have the spirit of discernment. We have the sixth sense and we have the gut feeling. Okay? So while we receive information, let's use our sixth sense, our discernment, and our gut feeling. And let the Spirit of God act like a sieve for everything that is going to come into our lives. Not everything that sounds good is going to work for you. There are certain things that are not going to work for you. Okay? For example, we had some notions on internet about people saying the grinding culture and the hustle culture. Did you read about those? The grinding, like people working too hard. It's not an era to work too hard. It's an era of soft life. So the soft life has came there. And let me tell you, soft life has came, and that is where people started the stress of someone who would dress up to go to another person's house to do content and to take pictures. Because they want to show the world they are living a soft life. And you borrow money to go to a beach to take pictures so that people can know that you're doing a soft life. Another person is taking a trip, soft life. What exactly are you doing to yourself? You're not growing. You're actually burying yourself. Because growth starts from down going up. It's only a grave that comes from down, up, going down. And we can't live like that. So let's save all the information. Because when you go back to the story of this lady, of the issue of the blood, do you realize that for most of the miracles that Jesus performed in the Bible, there was something like, and he had. Bartimaeus, the blind, he had that Jesus was passing around. This woman with the issue of blood had that Jesus was passing around. And when she had that Jesus was passing around, she was like, now, prison break. I'm escaping from this quarantine and I am going to where the crowd is because I must touch the hem of Jesus. That means with hearing, even the Bible says that faith comes by. Yeah. So that means whatever we hear has power. So be very, very careful what you take in, the information that you're feeding on, and who is speaking into. Sometimes we might think we are scrolling through TikTok just to pass time. But let me tell you, because you're listening to it too much, it is starting to corrode your mind. It is starting to change the way you think, and you're starting to subscribe to the same kind of mindset, okay? So, and in this case, our season of experimentation is over. Okay? For those of you that we started together, I gave you the 3 prayer points for this year that I am moving by, and as a community, I hope that we can pray by, and that is living by God's instruction. Let me tell you, God can have clear instruction. Okay? Living in a covenant relationship with God and living in consecration. 3 directions. So when we say that our time for experimentation, because experimentation takes a lot of time. When they say that experience is the best teacher, I don't fully believe that. I think it should be changed. Because when you learn by instruction, you save time. Okay? When you learn by instruction, when someone says, take this step, do this, do that, you realize that you can fast track, because when you say you learn by experience, then you're going to fall into ditches, then you're going to, bump into things, and then it is taking too much time. So our time of experimentation, we don't have touch here, touch there, touch here, touch here. Yes, we must work hard, but again, we don't want to try so many things and get ourselves so exhausted that we give up on our lives. So can we be able to spot the mentors, the people that have the heart after God's own heart? When God talked about David and said that he has a heart after my own heart, it doesn't mean that he wasn't a sinner. We're not going to find perfect people, but there are people that have a heart after God or God's own heart. And you can tell by what they say and how consistently they actually say, and the kind of lives that they are living. Okay? So, number 2. Upgrade on execution. Upgrade on execution. So many of us have mismanaged our seasons because we have not been ready to execute. When I say that, get on your marks, get set, go. The go is execution. The get on your marks, that is instruction. Okay? The get ready, that is instruction. But when they say go, that is time to execute. Now, some of us, just like when we were beginning, I said that some of us pray and, we wait on God, but again, we wait on God for too long. Like he gave you a green light, but you're still waiting on him, and yet he's not going to drive the car for you. There was an execution that happened for something to actually happen, for a promise to come to pass. So I need you to be able to go on the part of the execution and say, okay, now I have planned, and these are my plans. And if you say that we are committing our plans into the hands of God and we are praying over them, when we have the green light, can we be able to execute? Can we be able to start that business? Okay? Can we be able to do that course that we wanted to do? Can we be able to build that altar in our home and start praying with our family? Can we be able to change the circle of our friends? There are certain things that we must be able to upgrade on or to change. Can we be able to say, okay, I'm going to starve my fear and I'm going to feed my faith, but I'm going to dwell or I'm going to consume information that is going to be helpful to me. I'm going to be so particular about who I listen to, where I go, who I subscribe to, okay? So I need you to be able to upgrade on your execution. When you say, I will do something, be a promise keeper to yourself. That is number 1 prerequisite for self-love. Sometimes we think self-love is about going to Serena and taking pictures in Angle Theater. Like you have a well laid out plate and then you take a picture while you're looking at the plate, or maybe a nice cup of coffee, and then you're like, I'm in my self-love season. That is not self-love season. I don't know what that is, because when I say it, some of you might get annoyed. But the thing is, you keeping your own promises is number 1 act of self-love. That I promised I am going to lose weight. How many of you have seen my weight? How many of you saw me last year? I saw you. So when you keep your own promise, it's going to be hard. Who didn't want to eat everything during Christmas season? But you'll be like, you know what, I have a mission and I am not going to take a detour like some people who say, I'm getting off this so that I can go through with this season, and then after that I have 20 more kilograms to fight with that I gained in a space of 2 weeks. I was like, no, I am going to go ahead with my routine. I am not giving up on my routine. But that is determination that I am going to deliver on my own promise. And for the first time when I put on the clothes that I used to put on before I even gave birth to my children, I was like, I'm making it. I've not been putting on this size. I started putting this on 3 weeks ago. And I was so proud of myself. So that is a form of self-love, that I am going to make a promise to myself, and I'm going to keep that promise, that I'm going to save money, that I'm going to invest. Can I look for investment opportunities? Can I look for people that have investment knowledge? Can I ask, can I consult? This is a year where I need, and investment does not mean 100 million or 50 million or 20 million. I can invest with as small as 500,000, 200,000. So can I be able to ask, where are those investment opportunities? How do I grow my money? That I'm going to become so good at personal financial management. I'm not going to buy everything that I see. How many? You have pairs of shoes. You have purple, you have yellow, you have green, and you take a year without putting it on. But when you see another shoe, you feel, I need that one also. And you need another bag. And you're like, I'm going to be good. So can we keep those promises? Execution. Okay? If you promised yourself that I'm going to quit that relationship, can you quit it? That's a hard one. That's a hard one. I know that we will go over and over and over and over again. And I'm not saying a marriage, because a marriage takes a different criteria. But a relationship where you don't have a ring, where there is nothing, no vows, nothing, and it's actually dragging you, it's not helping you, it's not making you a better person. A relationship is supposed to make you a better person. It's supposed to add on your happiness. It's supposed to add on your oxytocin levels, endorphins. You're supposed to feel good and happy. It doesn't mean you're not going to have friction. You will have friction just like any other human being. But you know, when you have friction with your friend, there is a way you even kwebonga kwa, and you're like, nawe onyize nyo kati nyigulu kuka. But there is someone nga bwanyiga, you have to run for your dear life. Bwanyiga, the words they will use, they will be very piercing and piercing your heart, and they will not mind what state and what they say. And then all of a sudden they have the audacity to say, I said those words when I was angry. Well, if they can say them while you're in a relationship, what about when you get married? It will be worse. Okay? So keep your own promises. Execution. If you say, I'm going to eat once a day, or I'm going to do intermittent fasting, or can you execute? If you say, I'm going to open my shop at 7 a.m., can you open your shop? If you say, I'm going to be at work at 7 or 8 a.m., can you be at work? If you say, I'm going to leave that job, can you also give yourself a time frame and say, in the next 6 months, I should have planned enough how to actually work out on this? Execution, okay? Execution. Number 3, insulation. Now, do you know that emotions are contagious? That you can be a person that has steady emotions, that is self-controlled, but when you stay in close proximity with someone that cannot regulate their emotions, do you know that you can become them? And do you know that there are certain relationships we can never run away from, because we would have said separate. But how do you separate from your own mother? How do you separate from your siblings? How do you separate from your spouse? Okay? So sometimes you're not going to separate, but you will insulate. That means you're not going to prioritize everything that they prioritize. You're going to have your own priorities. Because sometimes for someone to know that you love them, you have to prioritize what they prioritize. And yet, you don't want to prioritize what they prioritize. You also have your own priorities. You're a human being, you have your own brain, you have your own things that you want, and then they're like, you don't love me because you didn't prioritize this. No. Me loving you does not mean I have to do everything that you want me to do. Okay? I can be married to you and I don't want to do everything that you want me to do. And I have a reason why, and I can explain. Okay? So, insulation means that I am not going to rub shoulders so much with you in order, as far as to forget who I am, or to be able to be fully soaked into who you are, prioritize what you prioritize at my own compromise. Okay? So we're not here to make people happy. We're the first people that should be happy, and our happiness should be enough. It should be contagious. That when people stay close to us, they can sense we are happy. When you smile, do you know that when someone smiles, even when you're annoyed, you feel like returning a smile, even if it's not a full smile, but you feel like your mouth is betraying you, like it wants, it wants to formulate a smile. Why? Because happiness can also be contagious. If you're around a happy person, my sister used to be like that. Now, me on the other hand, I'm not really gloomy, but I'm the kind who is into myself, laid back. But for her, she would get excited. And Banang, my daughter took my sister's character. She can get excited to the point of fainting. Like seriously. You're coming back into the gate, she's on her tiptoes, and so I thought she would outgrow it. She's not outgrowing it, she's becoming worse. She's a people lover. And we're like, us as your parents, we are not that. Where did you get that from? But I realized that is typically, this is my sister Gloria, the one that follows me. Like she's always on her, when she gets happy, she wants to jump up and stay up. And so, so her happiness, like all of us would be happy. Whenever she's happy, you have no choice but to be happy. So you realize that happiness is also contagious. That is why we say, go with your own full cup in a relationship or marriage and let the other person come with their own full cup. That when you are excited about certain things and what this person looks at you and is like, and wonders, is like, I didn't know that cake can make people happy like this. Or I didn't know this soap can make people happy like this. Why? Because you have your own source of happiness to actually make you happy. Okay? So, insulation. Insulate yourself. Do you know wires that are insulated? Like they are not live. When you touch a live wire, definitely you are electrocuted. But when you touch an insulated wire, it is protected. You are protected as a human being. So when you insulate yourself, even when someone comes and they have bad moods, bad energy, like Wasemba Nacho. Someone comes with their bad energy, and your good energy will chase them because light does not dwell with darkness. You'll be like, you know, now this business is impossible. That talk of impossibility, go and talk about it elsewhere. If I think it's possible, I'm going to try it. Let it fail, but let me try. I should not fail to try because you have told me. No, when you come to me with the talk of we should hate so and so, I'm not going to ask you what they did to you and why you want me to hate them, because I'm not about to be stupid enough to hate someone on someone's behalf. Let someone do something. Let them do it to me. Let them not do it to you, and then I'm fighting your own battles. Can I choose my battles wisely? Let me insulate myself. While me, I can and I am happy. While for you are annoyed because someone is passing by. I don't necessarily have to fall into your trap and do everything that you want me to do. Okay? So insulate yourself, and then we upgrade our determination. We upgrade our determination. Last year we were determined, yes. But you can agree with me that there are certain levels that we never hit, that we want to hit this year. That means it's going to take more determination than we had last year, okay? So you need to quit quitting. Like, sigenda chivako, sigenda kuchita, ngenda kuchiremerako. You know, I am going to press hard because I want more. If I want more money, if I want more success, if I want more significance, if I want to practice more of my purpose, if I want to bless people, if I want to impact people, influence people, there is a determination that I must have, that I'm not going to compare myself with other people. If other people are running, it's their business. I can cheer them on. But I can run when no one is cheering me on. Some of us want people to clap for us. But people are stressed. Have you seen stress levels these days? People are depressed. And let me tell you, you being happy depresses them the more. So, if you want anyone to clap for you, my friend, they're not going to clap for you. Actually, they are going to clap for you, but when they're making witchcraft prayers, some of them, they're like, hey, mama, you know? But you want someone to be able to, you know, when you look at someone is just so determined, whether you are for it or you're not for it, for them, they are willing to go. As in, it just feels like, my goodness, that level of audacity, that they have audacious goals and they're not willing to shrink their goals to fit into anyone's box. Can we be that this year, that we upgrade our level of determination? If we want to have the audacious goals and the audacious dreams that we want to reach at, and to even name and say by the end of the year, I should have earned this amount of money. Not basing on the kind of work that I have and the kind of money that I earn every month, but can I reach out of the box and even give myself a lot more than I think I can earn through the months? Because then my equation would be, on top of what I earn per month, what else can I do in order to get this kind of money? Oh, if this is the money that I am earning and there is no any kind of hope that it's going to be increased, can I be able to move out? Can I be able to look elsewhere? Can I be able, you see, all those options are created because you have given yourself a target. That on my vision board, I actually have this amount of money that I want. How much money do you want this year? The whole of this year added together. You have been told so randomly. How much?
Roughly 20M.
Jesus. People are thinking 20M. Don't think according to what you can do. 20M is too small. I think 20M is pocket change. Yeah? Yeah? Someone gives you a blank check and you write 20M.
No, if you give me a blank check, I can put more than that.
Uh-huh.
Okay, now I'm basing on maybe look up just based on what I can manage.
Uh-huh. But now, not what you can manage, because you are capable of more. Do you know that we just settle for what we earn? We just settle for what we are being given, but we can actually earn much more than that if we put our minds to it. There are people with half your education that are earning more than you. People a quarter your brilliance than are earning more than you. So what are they doing? What are they doing? There's a girl who called me and you know, she didn't have money to go to school, to high school and what, and I was telling her, and she was being told go for nursing, go for what, and I just decided to pick her call, like pro bono. I was like, you know what, no charging, let me pick her call, we talk. And I was telling her, do you know how much money people are making in salons? Do you think as ladies we will ever stop doing hair? Do you know how much money people are making doing our nails? If they take 100,000 from every woman in doing just her nails, in makeup, and then you tell me you want to be a nurse and a plumber and a civil engineer and a lawyer, then I will laugh at you. Because the odds have changed. They are not now on the professional jobs. Right now, if you can be able to even train nannies and start supplying them in Muyenga, you're going to die of money than someone who owns a company or even a law company. Because those things, so there is someone who even told me that, you know what, I am just going to get girls that are willing to be paid. Do you know that these days being a surrogate is paying a lot of money? How much money are people making in this town? People are making a lot of money just by thinking outside the box. But so many of us are still nice girls and good girls. And let me tell you, being a good girl, a nice girl is not taking you anywhere. No. Sometimes you need to go rogue. Sometimes you need to rebel, to be rebellious. And you're like, you know what? I'm not going to earn that amount of money. You get it? Sometimes you just get angry with where you are. And you're like, this is not where I want to be for the rest of my life. Because guess what? If you still earn the same money, next month or 2 months from now, do you know where the economy is going? Do you know how much more expensive things are becoming day by day? So a time will come and you will not pay your own rent. You will not be able to buy your own food. You will not be able to buy your own clothes. That means, you're like, how do I not just survive? No, I'm not going to settle with surviving and experimenting. I am going to thrive. So how do I thrive? It takes a lot more work. It takes a lot more determination. That is why we need to upgrade on our determination and be able to think outside the box, okay? And then let me just stop at that, because when I keep going, I'll keep going and keep going. But let me tell you everything that we need to do to seize the season. For as long as you can upgrade on those things, you can upgrade on your execution, or you can upgrade on your information, You can upgrade on your determination. If you can upgrade on those things, seizing the season is not going to be hard. We are going to be able to seize the season, and together we are going to end this year happy. All of us are going to end this year happy, and we're going to have testimonies. And we are going to end this year with a huge gala just to celebrate, red carpet dinner, just to celebrate the achievements and how far God will have brought us, and how happy our families will be, and how everyone will be seeing the goodness of the Lord through us. We should not see it, yes, we will see it through other people, but we should firsthand experience it and let it radiate to everyone else. Remember, we are nurturers. We are the women. We are the ones that give birth. We are the ones that give life. So let's give life to ourselves. Before we even give it to anyone else, let's give it to ourselves. I love you guys.